Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or find a way to lose. Also in boxing, if you're Dillian Whyte, you find a way to be the angriest man in the whole damn boxing. The thing with Dillian Whyte is he just can't seem to find peace. It doesn't matter what this man has been able to achieve, thanks to Eddie Hearn, right? He just seems to be angry, and he always seems to target who else? Anthony Joshua. Sometimes, right, I think people just need to understand. Not everybody gets to be on the A team. You know what I mean? People need it on the B team. People need it on the C team, right? And then there are those people who don't get put on the team. It's just like that. If you want to get put on the C team, B team, or A team, well, then your effort needs to be greater. You need to figure out what you need to do to get placed on those teams. Now, when you look at Dillian Whyte, he is out here attacking AJ again. And when I say attacking him, I'm not talking physically. I'm just talking about verbally. And like I said, man, I'm talking, this man spews shrapnel, man. Like, his words are ferocious. He feels Anthony Joshua is being protected by Eddie Hearn. And my thing is this, right? We know they've had the rivalry back as the amateurs. We know Dillian Whyte started boxing late. He kind of learned on the job. Anthony Joshua, kind of similar situation, but Dillian Whyte was doing some kickboxing as well. We know Dillian Whyte beat Joshua, when they were young guys as amateurs. Then they turned pro. They call that their second fight. Really, that was their first pro fight, but that was like the second fight, trying to hype it up. Joshua damn near killed him, but Whyte landed the big left hook. We know he has something special in that left hand. And then now they're talking about a trilogy. This is the one to prove who's really the better fighter. We all know Anthony Joshua is the better fighter. But my thing with Dillian Whyte, singling Anthony Joshua out as being protected. Look, he's talking about how much money Anthony Joshua makes, all of his endorsement deals, etc., etc. Well, look, it's like this. Anthony Joshua earned a gold medal. That's a pretty big deal. Anthony Joshua, 99% of the time, if a microphone's put in his face, he's smiling. He's very thoughtful in the words he chooses. And he's a people's person. He's not cussing, carrying on, trying to fight everybody. He's not combative, at least from what the appearance he gives to the public. You look at Dillian Whyte, the polar opposite, man. Total opposite. Dillian Whyte always in front of a camera, cussing, carrying around, threatening people. You see this man trying to fight people, disrespecting everybody, saying absolutely horrible things about people. And you know what? I'm not here to judge him. What I'm doing is I'm sitting here, and it's like for Dillian Whyte to think that Anthony Joshua is getting a treatment that he also deserves. I got to tell Dillian Whyte, hold your horses. Don't take it to the stupid. You've got to earn that. To be quite honest with you, Dillian Whyte, this man is making like 4 million pounds against Povetkin. Can y'all believe that? He made 4 million pounds. Then he goes and fights Franklin. I can't find any information on that. But all of his fights up to Jermaine Franklin, Dillian Whyte was making a couple to a few million pounds a fight. He fought Tyson Fury, made over 7 million pounds. If he would have won, he would have got another 4 million on top of that. So Dillian Whyte is sitting pretty comfortable. But he feels like Anthony Joshua is being protected. Well, I'm going to tell you this, right? Anthony Joshua being protected? Was he protected when they threw him in there with Vladimir Klitschko? That's all I'm asking. They threw him in there with Prince Charles Martin. Nobody knew much about Martin, but I know they felt that they could beat him. That's why they overpaid him like $8 million to get that belt. But then he goes into these other fights, the Molinas, the Brazils. You know what I'm saying? You sit here and want me to believe that, and Povetkin and Parker, right? Those are all high-risk fights. AJ should be the favorite in those fights because AJ is a special fighter. But then you look at AJ. If they were protecting him, I don't care about activating the mandatory, and Anthony Joshua and Eddie Hearn wanting to keep the belts. The man goes in there, they throw him in there with Andy Ruiz. Throw him back in there with Andy Ruiz. You see Joshua start making some changes. Let me tell you something. If you're protecting a fighter who got beat the way AJ did by Ruiz, you don't just sit there and say, all right, let's go again, right? That's not protecting a fighter. You have a guy like AJ who goes in there with Usyk, loses the way he did in that first fight. You could tell that he has scatterbrain. He's not really sure on what hit style, what approach he should use. He's confused. He goes back in there because he's a prideful guy. Loses again, right? Usyk pretty much outboxed and made him look crazy the first fight. Second fight, Anthony Joshua, he had what it took to win, but he just couldn't pull the trigger, right? That's not protecting a fighter. Now, Anthony Joshua suffered a couple major setbacks, right? A couple years without a win. He doesn't have the belts. That's a problem for Eddie Hearn because in most instances, the belts are leverage unless you're Earl Spence trying to make a deal with this guy, Terrence Crawford. Crawford obviously doesn't care about the belts. But I tell you what, Al Heyman cares about those belts. And I tell you who else cares about belts is Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn cares about belts more than anyone else in boxing. But he wants AJ to get back to where he was, but to a new and improved AJ. But the same way, Dillian Whyte, okay, he got his butt knocked out by Povetkin. He came back, cut the Povetkin slipping, getting over COVID. I think they kind of rushed the fight on Povetkin. Povetkin took it because of whatever, a quick payday, I'm retiring anyway. So I'm going to give Whyte credit for that win because he did beat him the second time, right? And he was winning the first fight. But when you look at it, Povetkin was 1 foot out the door. You could kind of say the same thing with Spence and Sean Porter. 1 foot out the door, the performance kind of reflected that, okay? But then when you look at what they did for Dillian Whyte, he got a fight with Tyson Fury, right? He got the fight, made big money. He got knocked out. They protected Dillian Whyte. They threw him in there with who? Jermaine Franklin. And the thing is this, Dillian Whyte didn't get him out of there. He was supposed to knock Jermaine Franklin out. Jermaine Franklin's a good fighter. Don't get me wrong. I like Jermaine Franklin. I'm always going to root for the underdog. You know what I'm saying? I have no reason to not root for Jermaine Franklin. But with Dillian Whyte saying AJ's being protected, I mean, that's what Eddie Hearn did to you. These boxers are the promoter's investments. I don't care how much a promoter says, oh no, I don't call any shots. I more or less just kind of try to guide their careers, but I work for the boxer. They're the boss. That's all bullcrap, right? Knock it off. The fighters don't put the money up for anything. It's the promoters taking, for the most part, all the risk. You know what I'm saying? So I don't buy that. But it sounds good. And probably with Eddie Hearn and some of these other promoters, their boxers have, they have a voice. And, they have a say. And the decisions that are being made because ultimately they have to get in the ring. But I'll tell you what, if it's something that the promoter really wants to happen, the fighter's going to lose. He's just going to be frustrated. Earl Spence, Keith Thurman. Earl Spence is one of the biggest names in boxing. This man's not getting his way, but he got them belts, and the belts may not even be on the line. Who knows what's going on with that? I'm not even going to talk about that. But what I'm saying is, if the boxers ran things, you'll be seeing the fights being made, the decision being made, exactly the way the boxers said. So now with AJ getting a chance to fight Franklin, Dillian Whyte's pissed off. You can't get mad at that. Eddie Hearn is protecting his investment the same way he protected his investment in Dillian Whyte. But I do think Franklin was a good fit for Dillian Whyte coming off the Fury knockout. I don't think Franklin's a good fit for AJ coming off the Usyk knockout. I think AJ is levels above Dillian Whyte, levels above Franklin. They could have chose someone a bit stiffer like a Luis Ortiz. That's just my opinion. But at the end of the day, they did what they wanted. You got to look at the kind of money AJ is going to generate. This is his comeback fight, right? 2 years without a loss. They're damn near guaranteeing he's going to get a sensational knockout against Franklin. AJ's going to make huge money. And Dillian Whyte sitting back watching this man. Let me tell you something, man. You can't sit there and try to jump into people's pockets. You know what I mean? You can't sit there and be frustrated because he has all these endorsement deals. Over 10 different endorsement deals. We know about the Lucozade. We know about the Under Armour. We know about the Beats by Dre. There are others. We know about AJ, man. Went out there, man, committed over 100 million pounds. I think it was like 100 million pounds, 50 million pounds, 100 million pounds in real estate in the last couple of years. And he saw his real estate portfolio grow by 60 million pounds due to appreciation. So these are things that AJ's doing. And Dillian Whyte's sitting back there miserable, man. But I honestly feel like this. Dillian Whyte, his career, in my opinion, is over. Now, I'm not wishing that on him, but I'm going to tell you why I think Dillian Whyte's career is over and Anthony Joshua's career, second part of his career, is just getting started. Why do you think I'm saying that? I'm talking to you. Because of the trainers they selected, man. You can't tell me Dillian Whyte going over here to Buddy McGirt is going to somehow breathe life into his career and give him a second run. Come on, man. That's one of the worst decisions that he could have made. Now, look at the decision Anthony Joshua made. Look, man, we talked about it. Said it's only 3 people for Anthony Joshua. Only 3. Robert McCracken, go back, right? Go back to the original crew that you had. It was working. You don't want to do that? We get it. Pick up Freddie Roach. Freddie Roach, Parkinson, keeps advancing. He's getting older. He's not the same Freddie Roach that was out there training, James Toney, training Pacquiao. Like, Freddie Roach is, he's not the same. But if it's not Freddie Roach or McCracken, the other person we said, it's got to be Derrick James. Some people are like, hey, what about Virgil Hunter? Look, listen. AJ don't want somebody trying to coach him and giving him directions by whispering. Hey, AJ, man, look, what do we do? Who wants to have somebody whispering in their damn ear all the time, man? I'm not saying you want somebody berating you and cussing and giving you a fireman speech like Teddy Atlas, but who wants somebody in the ear whispering? Man, nobody want to hear that. But the move that Anthony Joshua made, I think that's going to extend his boxing career. And I honestly feel there's some things Derrick James has to figure out because there's a little bit of a disconnect up there with Anthony Joshua not wanting to get hit. In the wrong sport, champ. Should have gotten to the tickling championships. You know what I'm saying? In a tickling contest, like you go and do that. Boxing, you're going to get hit. You're a big boy. Move your head, work on your defense, use those legs, half a step back, full step back, lateral movement, whatever you need to do, AJ, but you're going to get hit. But if Derrick James, through the sparring, can help AJ break lock with his reluctance to engage because he's so worried about getting hit that he's not committing on his shots anymore. He wasn't like that before. But, things happen. Everybody reacts differently when they get hurt, when they get buzzed, when they realize, damn, my chin is suspect. So I say all that to say this. Don't worry about the fact that Anthony Joshua is the first British fighter to make over $100 million, 100 million pounds in the sport of boxing. And Anthony Joshua said he wants to be a billionaire. And yeah, he's locked in with Eddie Hearn. He kind of signed his life away in the deal he signed with Eddie Hearn, DAZN. But Anthony Joshua is taken care of. I'm not sure that's the best fit for him, but we know Eddie Hearn's going to make sure Anthony Joshua gets paid. We know that. But I just think Anthony Joshua, with a profile like his, I'll tell you what, Dillian Whyte can be mad. Whatever. He's angry. But you look at Anthony Joshua's profile, right? You're telling me Anthony Joshua, he already has a promotional company, He had Derek Chisora signed his promotional company. And I think he has some other fighters. But you telling me, right? Let's just be honest, right? We're just having a conversation. You tell me Anthony Joshua couldn't guide his own career? And if he's making 40, 50, 60, $80 million fighting in Saudi with the promoter, You telling me if Anthony Joshua didn't do a Mayweather, do a Golden Boy, do a Miguel Cotto, do a Pacquiao, he did it later, but he did it, and break away from the promoter and do things on their own? You tell me Anthony Joshua can't double or triple that money? At least double it? Mayweather did. So again, Anthony Joshua and Eddie Hearn, I think their relationship, business-wise, I think half of it is complementary, the other half is supplementary. But it seems to work for him. Now, when I say supplementary, I think sometimes Joshua may be giving more to Eddie Hearn than what he's getting in return. There are some times, like right now, Joshua, no win in the last couple of years. I think now Eddie Hearn's kind of, it's kind of supplementary, just giving AJ more than really what he should with a guy who's had, back-to-back defeats. But at the end of the day, their relationship works. And their relationship is something that Dillian Whyte can never achieve with Eddie Hearn. You just can't do it. Attitude is everything, man. I used to deliver 2 briefings, right? A lot of people I provide these briefings to. I'm talking about thousands of people because I did it over the last, over a 4 or 5 year period. So you have, anyway, I'm not even getting to it. Thousands of people came through that briefing. One was called Creating the Right Balance, where he talked about the importance of work, the importance of fitness, the importance of education, and the importance of community involvement, and building your teams, right? Your subordinates, right? Developing people. And the other one was called Playing Your Cards Right. And this applies to what I'm talking about with Dillian Whyte. 4 things that I felt the most important things when it comes to just being a well-rounded human. 1, you got to be an effective communicator, both written and both verbally. Dillian Whyte, don't know how he writes, but being an effective communicator verbally, he struggles there, right? A lot of foul language, a lot of anger, and just a lot of just attacks and just being very unprofessional. Not many people want to deal with that all the time. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to deal with somebody who's unpredictable. So that's the C, right? Communication. Then the attitude. It doesn't matter how good you are at something. If you have a foul attitude, a lot of times that can be overlooked. But at some point, doesn't matter how good you are at what you do, people aren't going to want to keep dealing with you. Attitude is everything. But communication first, then attitude. And the third thing, I was talking about playing your cards right, right? C, A, then the R. Being responsible. How responsible is Dillian Whyte compared to Anthony Joshua? I really don't know, but that's something that we got to look at. And then D is having the discipline. Anthony Joshua is disciplined. How disciplined is Dillian Whyte? I think Dillian Whyte needs help to remain disciplined. I think Joshua has the discipline, but he may need help to get beyond whatever it is that's stopping him from letting his hands go. So all in all, when you look at the thing that I'm talking about, is playing your cards right, out of Dillian Whyte and AJ, who plays their cards right? Most of the time, communication, attitude, being responsible, and discipline. When you look at the 2, you got to go with AJ. So that being said, Dillian Whyte sitting back watching the fact that Anthony Joshua may come out here and make $20 million, $25 million. That's about the going rate for AJ fighting in the UK. He makes a lot of money. He sells a lot of pay-per-view. A lot of tickets get sold. The live gate is always crazy. That's Anthony Joshua. And I tell you what, I feel he's going to damn near decapitate Jermaine Franklin, okay? That's just what I'm anticipating. But after he does that, well, Dillian Whyte might as well just go jump off a bridge now, because you better believe the next fight for Anthony Joshua, if it's not Dillian Whyte, oh my God, could you imagine if Anthony Joshua decapitates Franklin, like I believe most of us are assuming is going to happen? Dillian Whyte sitting there, tongue hanging out his mouth, wrapped around his head, dragging across his bald head, right? Dillian Whyte figures, I'm up next. Joshua just knocked out Franklin, made 20-something million, profile just ballooned up again. Next fight, bigger stadium, more money. I should walk into another 7, maybe get my 15 million I'm looking for. and Anthony Joshua chooses not to fight him and go fight someone like an Andy Ruiz again or a Luis Ortiz, I'm telling you, Dillian Whyte gonna jump off a bridge. I'm telling you, man, he gonna go crazy. We think he's angry now. If he doesn't get that fight, Eddie Hearn's been kind of, dangling the carrot in front of him, right? If Eddie Hearn doesn't give Dillian Whyte a fight with Anthony Joshua after Franklin, oh my God. I'm going to do a video about that too. I'm going to crack up because I know Dillian Whyte going to lose his damn mind. But at the end of the day, Dillian Whyte may get it because we know, just like Dillian Whyte being mad saying Anthony Joshua being protected, he is. And Eddie Hearn going to make sure Anthony Joshua wins the first fight, wins the second fight, see how he's looking. And that's where Eddie Hearn and Anthony Joshua are going to bump heads. I'm telling you right now, I'm going to do a video about that, but I'll talk about it now. By that third fight, Anthony Joshua and Eddie Hearn are going to bump heads. Because Anthony Joshua and maybe even Derek James, if they're still together, right, are going to be pushing for AJ to fight Wilder or fight some big name. You got Fury, you got Wilder. Outside of that, who you got? Hergovic, Jake Joyce. Those are big names, huge threats. But the biggest names out there for Anthony Joshua getting these first two fights, it's gonna be Wilder and Fury. And I'm telling you right now, Eddie Hearn's not gonna want that. He's not gonna want that. And that's gonna create some issues. But that being said, we gotta wait and see, right? I'm just having a conversation, giving my opinion. You guys leave yours in the comment and let me know what you think. But Dillian Whyte, to me, when you look at how he came up, man, in Jamaica, mom came across to the UK, man, tried to create a life. He there, fending for himself. The family he was left with, they didn't, all the things that, how he was supposed to treat him and do for him, they didn't do. Man was on his own, had a child, I think at 11 years old or something, come over to the UK, bumps and bruises out there in Brixton, fell into a little, kickboxing, boxing. Then look at where his story is now. I think he's been shot as well. And look at where he ended up now. So you can understand why there's a little bit of what that Korean boxing coach, how he used to describe the kids, he used to call it gang. This one kid in the gym was violent, man. Like when he get in the boxing ring, that little boy was violent. I mean, violence, walking violence. Like Dillian Whyte talking about maximum violence? Nah. When I was in Osan, Korea, that little boy, man, was walking by. He would say, he has a gang. He used to call me by my last name. He would say my last name. He like, he has gang. And I was like, what is gang? And he was just saying like, ferocious. And I was like, oh, like violent. Like he's intense. He wants to win. But it was a language barrier. But man, we used to make it work though. But Dillian Whyte has that in him too. He has that gang, like that Kwang Jong Nim is what we call a coach in Korea, that boxing coach. That's what Dillian Whyte has. But it's circumstances. But there's no need to be like that anymore, man. You know what I'm saying? Dillian Whyte living a pretty damn good life. But it is what it is. But as far as Anthony Joshua being protected, some people say Anthony Joshua being protected his whole career. I mean, I don't know. I think what you have is a guy like Eddie Hearn and Anthony Joshua who were able to collaborate and come up with, a winning strategy. And it got him to the point to where he is at now. And if he would have stuck to the game plan when he got into it Andy Ruiz, he probably would have won that fight. To me, he should have never lost the Andy Ruiz fight. But, he was trying to outdo Wilder because Wilder had just damn near killed Brazil. And then he come in there with Usyk and thinking that he was going to prove to the world that he could outbox the boxer because he saw Chisora go in there and damn near beat Usyk. So just, some bad choices. And then by the time he got to Usyk in a rematch, hey, he had some unresolved things going on, and it is what it is. But going forward, I think Anthony Joshua is in a protection program because they have to protect their investment. And after the second fight, going to the third or fourth fight, he may be out of that, but it's going to be about Anthony Joshua's doing, not Eddie Hearn, because I don't think Eddie Hearn wants to do that. I don't think he feels Anthony Joshua can afford to have a fourth loss. especially if it's not against a Wilder or Fury. You lose the Wilder, you lose the Fury, people can almost accept that. They may not like it, but they can almost accept it. You go out here and lose to Flip Hrgovic, nobody going to forget that. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, what I honestly think's going to happen, he's going to fight Dillian Whyte. And don't be surprised if he fights Jarrell Miller. Don't be surprised if that fight happens. I heard that's something that's being entertained because of all the drama. So there's a lot of history there. Don't be surprised if he fights Jarrell Miller. And I think he'll knock him out because Jarrell Miller can't cheat. I'm not saying he can do anything he wants, but I don't think he's going to mess around with that crap anymore. And Anthony Joshua, I think, clips him. So that being said, Dillian Whyte, stop being so angry. You're mad at Chisora. You're mad at Anthony Joshua. You're mad at Amir Khan. You're mad at Conor Ben. Man, you're mad at everybody. Yo, take it easy. That being said, y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans, all 7 continents. I'm in the breeze.